Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft, the founder and CEO of Judy Heft and Associates, Financial and Lifestyle Concierge. This year, she's celebrating 27 years in business. In every episode, Judy interviews professionals who help others successfully manage their financial lives. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Judy is the author of 2 books, How to Be Smart, Successful, and Organized with Your Money for a Better Today and Tomorrow, and her latest book, Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles, How to Successfully Manage Money in Every Decade of Life. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of the show at www.judithheft.com. Now, here's the host of Mastering Your Financial Life, Judy Heft.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to episode 76 of Mastering Your Financial Life. And today I'm really thrilled and I'm excited to be here with Fran Pastore. I've known Fran for probably close to 30 years. Fran is the founder of the WBDC, which is the Women's Business Development Council. And the WBDC, along with Fran and her amazing team of women, have helped thousands of women entrepreneurs build successful businesses, myself included. I met Fran when I was first starting my business. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know QuickBooks. And here I am starting a bookkeeping business. So I took a course there on how to write a business plan, how to learn QuickBooks. And from there, the rest is history. So, 30 years later, almost 30 years later, I think it's great to have such an amazing resource. You've grown so much. You have almost 5 offices. You're opening your 5th office in Hartford soon. And that's really exciting. And I want to talk to you and see about all the different initiatives and how you're helping women entrepreneurs. I know I love working with women. My company is all women, and I'm proud to say that. Women are different. Communicate differently. I'm not the first person to figure that out, but here we are. So welcome, Fran.
Thanks, Judy. Thanks for having me. And I was just thinking on the intro that you started your business 27 years ago, and that's actually when WBDC got off the ground. We met prior to that, but then we both were launching really at the same time. So congratulations to us.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we've come a long way, baby.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
And I remember that first office you had. I think it was near Columbus Park. They're upstairs somewhere, right?
Yes.
Walking in
Good
there. I didn't
memory. Above the Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. That's right. That's where it all started. And look where we've come. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to hear, what you're doing. I know that you were just at a conference with President Biden. I want to hear all about that and all the other different great initiatives that you're working on.
Thank you. Yes. Myself and one of my colleagues, Louise Lisboa, just came back from Washington, D.C. We were invited to participate in a small business summit that was hosted by the Biden administration. And we were hoping to see Kamala, but she was not able to join us. But we did get to see and spend a lot of time with members of the administration in the Small Business Administration and Economic Development. And, the reason we were invited is because we are, as the Women's Business Development Council, delivering against this administration's priorities to help women entrepreneurs succeed. And in particular, because we have a focus on the care economy with our whole childcare division, that was one of the reasons why we were in the room where it happens, as they say. And it was really exciting.
That is very exciting. And so let's go back up a few minutes. I want to hear, how did you get this idea to start this Women's Business Development Council? Because 27 years ago, as women, we came to the table with our male personas. There weren't a lot of women doing business, and we had to act like men to get our point across. And that's changed so much over the years. It has for me. I'm sure it has for you and other women too. Now we know that we can bring our feminine to the table, and it's an important point of view. So how did you have this idea so long ago?
Well, I wish I could take credit for the idea. I will tell you that necessity is the mother of invention. And yes, we were pioneers. But I had a personal need, and my personal need happened to align with the need in our community. I will share with you that, you might know this already, I was a single mom. I had just moved to Stanford, and I promptly got divorced and found myself a single mom with 2 little girls. And I had very little job experience, which was on Wall Street, which I did not enjoy. And as I had a posse of girlfriends who were highly educated and very successful in their own right, they were trying to help me figure out what I was going to do to earn a living. And my goal was to, not commute. I didn't want to spend hours on Metro North. I wanted to be with my girls. And what we discovered was that Connecticut was one of only 2 states in the country at the time that didn't have a federally funded program to actually help women entrepreneurs launch and scale businesses. Now, the genesis of that took place in 1988. In 1988, a law was passed in Congress. It's a little known law. It's called the Women's Business Ownership Act of 1988. And that law did a number of things. One of the most important things that it did, Judy, and I think you know this, is that it gave women the right to access capital in their own name for commercial purposes without a male co-signer the age of 16 years of age or older. So until 1988, imagine your Lorca coffee shop right here in Stamford, and your business is booming, and the space next door becomes available, and you go to your bank that you've been doing business with for 15 years, and you want to take a loan out to expand your business. And the first question they're going to ask you is, where is your male co-signer? And let's just say that your male co-signer happens to be your 16-year-old son who you support. That was okay.
Really?
So, yes, that was 1988. That law, the Women's Business Ownership Act, eradicated all state laws that mandated that women could not access capital for commercial purposes without a male co-signer the age of 16 years or older. Now, that law was passed through the advocacy and relentlessness of many, many, many women who believed that women needed an equal share of the economic pie in our country. So one of the other things that law did was that it recognized that there were barriers as a result of that access to capital law that limited women's access to capital. The law recognized that law had a cascade, that banking issue had a cascading effect on women. So a lot of women didn't have a male co-signer that they can ask to get help with for a loan. So they didn't get the capital that they needed to expand. Therefore, their businesses were kind of stunted. And so as a result of that, another piece of that bill was to create an educational institution, or an educational program, I should say, in every state to help women overcome the obstacles that resulted in their limited ability to grow their business. So fast forward, that was 1988. It's 1995 here in Stamford, Connecticut. Connecticut does not have an organization that is delivering services to women entrepreneurs. So that's kind of how it happened.
That's great. So yeah, you filled the need. That's
Yes.
wonderful. I knew about that law about women not being able to borrow money on their own, but I didn't know that a 16-year-old child or son,
A dependent,
co-signer, that's crazy.
a
That's
dependent.
with
Yeah.
no income or anything, and it didn't matter just because
Didn't
of his
matter.
genitals.
Didn't matter. Genitals. Yeah. Testosterone. Exactly.
I had no idea about that piece of
Mhm.
the law. I knew that we couldn't borrow money without a male co-signer, but I didn't realize it could be a 16-year-old.
Yes.
So we've
And-
definitely, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, one of the women that testified in Congress on that bill actually had her 16-year-old son. She was a single parent. She was the only support of her 16-year-old son, and he co-signed a loan for her business in 1985 or something crazy. I mean, when you think about it, it's so remarkable that you think this can't actually be. And that it was only 1972 or 74 when you can get a mortgage, a car loan, or a credit card without a male co-signer, right? A woman could not access any of those until then. So, when we look at issues about, not enough women in decision-making seats across all segments of society, we can look back on history and figure out those reasons why. Because we were, I guess it was, who were the Billie Jean King, back in the day. It was, a woman, gender was such a big issue. And we were not we were not strong. We were not powerful. We were limited by our gender. And, we've made a lot of progress, but not enough.
Yeah, we still have a long way to go. But we have learned a lot. And now we're more outspoken and we know what we can get and we know what we're entitled to. We know that we're equals now. I think we were so suppressed for so long that we lost our voices for a long time, but now we have loud voices again. And hopefully, we're going to be running the world again, which we really should be. So
well, let's see how 2024 turns out first.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'll be picking out my shade of red dress that I'll be wearing and my little cap.
That's a scary thought, but it's crazy what's going on now. But we don't want to get too political here.
No. We don't have to do that.
We can take that offline.
Yeah.
So it's so important to access these resources that we didn't know were out there. And I think an organization such as yours is so great in guiding people and suggesting, letting people, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And that is so true always. I worked with some great coaches over the years. And not only did I learn from the coaches, but I learned from the other people in the group because they're also coming from different areas and different angles and different businesses and different backgrounds. And so there were just so many things that I learned. And I think it's really important to have a good support system there. And I think that's one of the things that the WBDC offers to women entrepreneurs today.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as I shared with you, the genesis of WBDC was that I had this, this posse of girlfriends, this support system that helped me. And that's one of the key benefits of coming to WBDC, that we have community. It's a community of women and we all want to support each other. And, we have, we're offering education and training and connections and capital opportunities to access capital. And so all of those things give women the confidence that they need to pursue their dreams and their goals. And I think that it's a very empowering feeling to come to a place where there are people that look like you, talk like you. You can see yourself in these accomplished, the members of my team who are so accomplished and so committed to helping women advance their business goals. So it's been a real labor of love. And, we're just looking forward to the future and an even brighter future for not only the organization, but for the women in Connecticut that we work with.
That's so wonderful. That's great that you're doing all this. Let's take a little break now, and then we'll come back more here with Fran Pastore of the WBDC, and we'll talk some more.
Hey there. I just want to tell you a little bit about my new book that just came out called Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles. And here it is. It's how to successfully manage your money in every decade of life. I co-authored this with my CFO, Liz Levy. And together we created this manual that's going to help you through every stage of life. We talk about having a baby. We talk about young adulthood, pre-retirement, what to do when you're at that age of retirement. If you're contemplating divorce, do you need an estate plan? We cover all of these, each subject in a different chapter. And I really think that you're going to find this so helpful because at the end of every chapter, we have checklists that you can look at and you can use, and they can be a guide for you. So this is a wonderful manual that we've created. It's available on Amazon. You can also find it on our website at judithheft.com/book. And we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out. I hope you enjoy the book. Here's another picture of it, just so you know what's going on. Here it is. And I'm really proud of it. It's my second book. And I'd love to have you read it and give me your feedback. Judy Heft, judithheft.com, financial and lifestyle concierge, celebrating 26 years in business. And over the years, I've learned so much. And what I've been trying to do is impart a little bit of this knowledge to you so I can help all of you become as financially organized as I am.
So, Fran, I think today that we're seeing a lot of women entrepreneurs are becoming more of called, the quote unquote thought leaders, change makers. We're really making a lot of strides for women. We were, for so many years, we were afraid to speak up and we didn't know how to speak up. And even when we weren't afraid. And I think the one thing I've known over the years and learned is being an entrepreneur, you have to be a little bit of a risk taker. You have to take chances. You have to know what to do, but you need to have educated risks. And I think that's why it's so important to be with an organization such as yours. So, how do you see that? Where do you see women changing over the years?
Well, I mean, look, I can see, and I talked about this in DC earlier in this week, the difference in the attitudes of women from when we first launched this organization to today is just remarkable. When we see women who are first, when we first launched the organization, women were really, most of the businesses that we saw were very home-based business. They were, just ideas. No one was thinking about technology. Nobody was thinking about scaling their business. We didn't even have that much. Of course, we didn't have as much technology available to us that we have today. But the businesses were different and the women were different. It's a whole different ballgame now. The majority of the women that we're working with have been in business for at least 3 to 5 years. They are in all sorts of businesses. It used to be more service businesses. It was at one time more home-based businesses. Now we're seeing women that have technology businesses. They are in manufacturing businesses. They are not as risk averse as they may have once been. And I think a lot of that has to do with the state of affairs in society, right? We were, as I said earlier, we were WBDC and my colleagues here, we were pioneers. Nobody was thinking about women's business ownership as a means to economic self-reliance for women at the time. It was go get a job, right? So we were really pushing the envelope 25, 30 years ago. We were seeing women that had these small home-based businesses. Today, it's a completely different story. And so, while we were pioneers then, what's happened is everyone else has joined the bandwagon. I mean, all you have to do is Google small businesses in Connecticut, and there are so many resources, not just for women, but across the board. There is an economic priority in our state by this administration to support women entrepreneurs. We have the Future Fund at the state. We have Connecticut Innovations. We have an angel investor program. None of these things existed years ago. So there is a real fire right now burning because society recognizes the contributions that women entrepreneurs make to our economy, right? Most women are still seeking, even though there's been a change in the demeanor, in the scale of the businesses, most of the women that we work with are not interested in becoming, the next big IT company. They want to do business in their community. They want to do business with their peers. They want to impact their local economy. Let's face it, we're still taking care of the kids and our parents. So the idea of having that flexibility and that independence and being in our own community and having impact, local impact. And so that's why everybody is interested. Did you ever hear of the female ecosystem before? The female entrepreneurial ecosystem? Who ever heard of such a thing 25, 30 years ago, Judy, when you were starting out?
No.
There is such a thing, the female entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I'm proud to say that WBDC and you were part of that. We were the trailblazers.
It's really exciting too, because, I think that, it's just, women entrepreneurship is just growing so much. And it's just important for us to be good role models for our daughters, our granddaughters. It's just, we have to set the bar for them and we have to set it high because it's only going to get better for them. And we have to be the ones that are showing them, plowing the way, paving the way. It's really interesting to me. It was a couple of years ago. I was with my daughter one day and, I have a full-time business, of course, and I'm not always available to babysit when I'd like to, or, when I'm asked, and I do when I can. And one of the things I said to my daughter one time was, I feel so badly because I'm always working all the time. I don't have as much opportunity to babysit as much as your mother-in-law does, who, stays at home. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, you're the role model I want for my daughter. You're the entrepreneur. You're the businesswoman. And I think it's wonderful that you're out there doing all this. And, both of my daughters are entrepreneurs. They have businesses and they work really hard too. And I feel like, maybe I set that bar for them and they realize, I kind of did, and mine was a little bit out of necessity,
Yes. Yeah. I think we share that in common. Yeah.
Yeah. We had to get out there and work and make the money. But I think it's great today that these women can do it because they want to do it and they're leaders in their fields. And they're just, like I said, they're great role models for their future, for the daughters of today. So
absolutely.
It's exciting. I think that's an important piece to it too. We
Oh,
need to,
absolutely.
yeah, we need to set the tone.
Absolutely. Agree
Yeah.
with
So,
that.
we talked about women being, economic drivers. I mean, are there statistics on that? Like how many women entrepreneurs are there? I'm sure there must be that you know.
So the statistics in our state aren't great, but there are national statistics, and I don't necessarily believe in those statistics, but I can tell you that women are still starting businesses at twice the rate of our male counterparts. Black women at an even faster rate, and Latino women are right there with us. And we see those numbers reflected right here at home in WBDC. We see about 47% of our overall clients are women of color. These are not women that we were seeing just a few years ago. So Connecticut is keeping up with the national average. We see the impact that women are having. We have you might be familiar with our grant program, Judy.
Yes.
We have an Ignite grant program where we're trying to ignite ideas and ignite growth in women-owned businesses, and those are $10,000 grants. We have given out millions of dollars in grants in the last 3.5 years, and the impact is remarkable. So if we think of women as economic drivers, we're thinking about women as job creators, right? So when you think about that, I can tell you that the women that have received those $10,000 grants, 50% of them have created one new full-time job in the state.
That's
80% of them have increased, 80% of them have increased their revenue. 50%, 60% of them have increased their profits. But the big number is that over 20% of them have gone on to secure traditional capital from a bank, which they had never done before. And so that's really, when we're talking about driving the economy, we're thinking about these micro entrepreneurs who are the backbone of communities all across our state and all across our country and really all across the globe, right? They have these small businesses. Think about Bedford Street downtown. You go out to dinner, that restaurant is probably doing business with a local tradesperson that they're probably creating lots of jobs in our community. They're doing business, they're keeping business local, and they're creating jobs. At one time, and I don't know if this still holds true, but at one time, small businesses, the definition of a small business changes depending upon who you're talking to and which federal agency you're talking to and if it's the state or the federal government. But at one time, small businesses were creating more jobs than Fortune 500 companies around the world. So when you think about that and you think about economic drivers and you think about women being the fastest growing segment within the economy, that's pretty impressive stuff. And it's happening not just here in Connecticut, it's not just in our country, but literally all over the globe. Women are starting businesses. They want to be in control of their own destiny. They want to be in control of their financial life. And I'll tell you that COVID had a major impact on that change. And it's been remarkable because the flexibility piece of having your own business and being able to babysit for your grandchildren or be able to help somebody out in an emergency or simply being able to take that walk or that yoga class without having to report to duty somewhere, that has driven many more women into entrepreneurship. So just real quick, I'll tell you that prior to the pandemic, we saw about 800 women a year at WBDC from all over the state of Connecticut. In 2023, we saw 29, almost 3,000 women, over 2,900 women that were coming to the organization to launch or grow their business. That's a 275% increase.
Well, that's something to be proud of. That's quite an accomplishment. You've done a lot to help these women. I'm proud to know you and proud to have been a part of it for so long.
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you.
It's exciting to see all these, businesses starting up, whether they're men or women, but especially to women, because that's what where our affinity is too. But it's great to see that there's so much empowerment going on in our country. We really need it now, especially. So
absolutely.
So thank you, Fran. How can our listeners find you?
ctwbdc.org, and we have another grant cycle opening up. If you have any childcare providers listening, or if you have any parents that use childcare, we also have a childcare grants of up to $25,000 to help childcare providers take care of the most exciting generation of young people. We want to make sure that people have access to childcare. We want to make sure that they have access to good, affordable childcare. And the governor's made a commitment to help childcare providers and early childhood educators build the infrastructure of their facilities so that we can have more spots so that more people can go back to work if they choose. So ctwbdc.org, it's a very exciting time to be in Connecticut. And there is money out there for businesses to grow and launch. Thanks for having me, Judy.
Oh, thank you, Fran. And so can they find you? I'm sure they can find you on LinkedIn too.
Oh, yeah. They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me and I'll share with them. I'll pass their information off to a member of my team. But the best way to do it is go to our website and you'll receive a response within 48 hours. Someone will be in touch.
That's great. And thank you so much. Thanks for all you've done over the years to help entrepreneurs all over the country, not just Connecticut, but I'm sure there's other sister organizations like yours.
There are
other states that people can reach into because we have a national audience. So I'm sure people can reach out and hear what they have to hear and figure it all out and get started. So thank you, Fran. Thanks for being an interesting guest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning into Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of the show at www.judithheft.com. Thank you for your positive comments and sharing this show with others.